Have you ever felt like time is passing faster than it used to? If you're over 60, you probably know exactly what I mean. It's not just that your body gets tired more quickly or that you don't have the same energy levels. It's a deeper feeling, as if you're being left behind. Watching younger people seem to rule the world while you wonder, how did I get here? Today, I want to share with you an incredible story of resilience, strength, and transformation that may change the way you look at life after 60. This video isn't just about a person who went through what many would consider the end of the road. Today, you'll meet someone who, at 65, after a serious heart attack, not only survived, but turned his life around and now runs marathons. It's a story of personal triumph that will make you rethink what's possible at any age. Best of all, this person isn't a professional athlete, nor does he have special genetics. He is someone like you, someone who had to face his own fears, doubts, and limitations, and who decided to move forward despite everything. So if you've ever thought it's too late, stick with us. I assure you that what you're about to see will inspire you like never before. Let's start with the first big lesson this person learned on their incredible journey: the power of not giving up on a medical diagnosis. When many people are told they've had a heart attack, the first thing they think is that their life is over, or that, at the very least, they'll have to lead a sedentary lifestyle for the rest of their days. For many, doctors tell them to take it easy and forget about intense physical activity. But our protagonist decided she wasn't going to accept that fate. In fact, the first thing she did was ask herself, why should I give up? Why should I accept that I can no longer live as I always have? The truth is that these are the kinds of thoughts most people have after a major health crisis. Fear and uncertainty fill the mind, and giving up seems like the easiest thing to do. But what she learned, and what I want you to know too, is that resilience is the key. When doctors tell you that you can't, you can ask yourself, what else can I do to take care of my health? Exercise, even when you're told you shouldn't. At age 65, after a heart attack, many people don't even think about exercising. However, our protagonist chose the opposite. Instead of giving up, she started with small steps. First, walking, then jogging, a little more each day. And then, what seemed impossible to many happened. She started running. It's true that as we age, our bodies become more fragile. Our bones, joints, muscles, everything seems to tell us to take it easy, that we're not built to run marathon. But in the case of our story, what happened was something completely different. At first, short jogs weren't easy, but with patience and discipline, not only did his cardiovascular health improve, but he also felt an incredible transformation in his mind. The result: not only was he overcoming the effects of his heart attack, but he was regaining control of his life. This is a key message for all of you over 60 who are listening. Don't let fear of exercise or medical diagnoses stop you. Exercise is one of the best ways to regain your independence. It doesn't matter how old you are or how serious your illness or injury has been. It's never too late to start. Now, how can you get started? My advice is to start small. If you can't run, start by walking, then move on to jogging a little, until your body allows you to do more. The important thing is to take the first step. And remember, you're not alone in this. We all have difficult moments, but the important thing is to take small steps forward and keep that positive mindset. Before continuing with the story and the incredible transformation of our protagonist, I want you to think for a moment. What has been holding you back? Maybe you feel tired or feel like it's too late. What I want to convey with this story is that it's never too late to start taking care of yourself. And if you've already started, how about taking the next step towards something bigger, like our marathon runner? The lesson I want you to take away from this is that your attitude in the face of adversity makes all the difference. The first step toward a more active and healthy life is in your mind. Now that we've talked a little bit about the first steps toward physical recovery, I wanted to take you to the next level of this story. Let's talk about overcoming fears and personal limitations, something that also plays a crucial role in overcoming any health challenge. If you've ever felt unable to achieve your goals, or felt stuck by the years or a health crisis, I invite you to stay with this video until the end. Because what happened after our protagonist started running is even more amazing. It's not just about losing weight or being able to run marathons at 70. What matters here is how these small decisions and daily habits can transform your life in ways you never imagined. and you can do it too. You just need to take the first step. Let me know what you think in the comments. If you've been through something similar, share your story with us. Your experience could be just what someone else needs to hear to take that first step. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications for more inspiring stories like this one. I invite you to stay and continue watching how this life story not only inspires but transforms. Let's continue with the next chapter of this incredible journey. If you thought our protagonist's story couldn't surprise you anymore, wait, because the best is yet to come. As she continued on her road to recovery, she was not only transforming her body but also her mind. Because, as many of us know, the mind is one of the most powerful tools we have at any age, and learning to use it can make a huge difference. Now, imagine for a moment how someone must feel when they go from being confined to a wheelchair, thinking their life has changed forever, to having the opportunity to run a marathon. That feeling of empowerment, of regaining control over something as fundamental as your health, can be incredibly transformative. The power of positive thinking mindset is critical to any kind of recovery. And what this person understood is that it wasn't just about exercising more, it was about changing the way she saw herself. How do you see your body differently when you've been diagnosed with a serious illness? How do you stay hopeful when everything seems to be against you? This is where the magic of positive thinking comes in. Instead of seeing the heart attack as an insurmountable obstacle, she saw it as a challenge she could overcome. It wasn't easy, but with every step, with every short run, she began to change her internal narrative. I am capable. I am not finished. This does not define me became her mantras. And those positive thoughts, fueled by physical effort, began to create a cycle of motivation and success that drove her forward. Many people over the age of 60 believe that they can no longer do anything, that their best days are behind them. But what our protagonist proved is that it's never too late to find a new passion, to discover new motivation, and, most importantly, to rediscover yourself. The body follows the mind, and when the mind is determined to excel, the body responds. That's what she discovered. By changing her mindset, she began to regain something she thought was lost: her strength and confidence. Breaking mental barriers. But how can someone who has had a heart attack break through the mental barriers that tell them, you can't? The answer lies in patience and perseverance. At first, marathons seemed impossible. Even short jogs felt like a challenge. But the important thing was that every time she faced a difficulty, whether physical or mental, she chose to keep going. Every small achievement, such as running a few more meters or completing a new distance, fed her confidence. And over time, those small achievements turned into full marathons. What I want you to understand is that mental barriers are, for the most part, constructs that we put up ourselves. Yes, the heart attack was a traumatic experience, but it wasn't the end of an active life. The real challenge isn't the heart attack, but the stories we tell ourselves about our limitations. She broke those stories, replacing them with a new narrative. I'm stronger than I thought, and I can keep pushing my own limits. And that's the mindset I invite you to adopt. What I want you to take away from this is that it's never too late to change your own narrative. If you've ever felt like you've fallen behind or can't do what you used to do, remember that the only thing holding you back is your mind. What you can achieve is far beyond what you tell yourself. The real battle is inside your mind, and when you decide to fight, the results are amazing. Step by step, without rushing now, don't get me wrong. I'm talking about changing your mindset, but also about being realistic. It's not about making rash decisions or pushing yourself to do more than you can right now. On the contrary, our protagonist never tried to rush things. She started small, respecting her body, listening to what it needed, and taking her time to heal. The marathon wasn't an immediate goal. The goal was to improve every day, no matter how small the progress. And that's another crucial lesson. You don't need to do everything right away, nor should you feel pressured by the standards of others. Each of us has our own pace, and the important thing is to move forward at your own pace. But always move forward. Every little step counts, and no matter how big or small the achievement, the important thing is to keep going. Chances are, like our protagonists, you too will have moments of doubt, moments when you feel tired or discouraged, and that's okay. The important thing is not to give up in those moments. The key is to try again the next day, to be consistent. And if you ever feel like you're alone on this journey, remember that many people in your community are going through the same thing, and you're not walking alone. Now that we've talked about the importance of positive thinking, about how essential it is to break down our own mental barriers, I want us to think about the next important step in this incredible journey. What happens when you overcome your own fears, when you face your own vulnerability? That's what we'll look at in the next part of this story. But before we continue, I want you to reflect on something. What mental barriers are holding you back right now? And what stories are you telling yourself about what you can or cannot do? If this message resonates with you, I want you to leave a comment below. Share with us how you are facing your own fears and limitations. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I invite you to do so you don't miss any more inspiring stories like this one. Now, let's continue with the story, because the best is yet to come. Now that we've talked about how positive thinking and breaking down mental barriers were key to recovery, we've reached a crucial point in the story. Our protagonist, after starting with small steps and facing the frustration and challenges that arise when the body no longer responds as it once did, was ready to face her last big goal: running a marathon. But how did she do it? After everything she had been through, how could someone who had been confined to a wheelchair face such a challenge? The answer is deeper than many people think. True strength is not only in the muscles or the body, but in the ability to get up again and again when life knocks you down. This was not just a physical marathon, but also an emotional and mental marathon. Every mile she ran, every breath she took, every step she took on that road reminded her how far she had come. What had started as a small, doubt-filled effort had become an expression of her inner strength. The key to all of this was the power of resilience, that ability to adapt and recover in the face of adversity. This story teaches us that we all have that ability, even if we don't always recognize it. Our protagonist shows us that no matter how big the obstacle, what matters is how we react to it. In the end, it's not what happens to you that defines your life, but how you choose to respond. Taking action. One step at a time. For many older adults, simply walking or running a mile may seem impossible. But like her, by starting with small steps, you can go further than you ever imagined. And here's the important lesson. You don't have to take a giant leap to achieve something extraordinary. What really counts is consistency, the determination to keep going even when your strength seems to be waning. Along the way, our protagonist also had to learn to listen to her body, and more importantly, to give it the space it needed to heal and recover. It wasn't about rushing or pushing herself. She understood that every step, no matter how small, was a step toward her goal, and that's something many of us forget as we get older. Progress doesn't have to be rushed. It doesn't have to be grand. What matters is moving forward, even if it's just one small step. That's why I want you to think about yourself for a moment. What is stopping you from taking that first step towards something you are passionate about or would like to achieve? Whether it's walking a little more each day, starting a new exercise routine, or learning a skill you've always wanted to learn. You don't have to run a marathon to feel successful. Start where you are and take the first step. Our protagonist realized that the marathon wasn't just a physical challenge. It was a symbol of what she was capable of achieving. It was a reminder that at any age, life still had so much to offer. She had taken back control of her life. She had taken back control of her life. And in doing so, she not only regained her health, but also her confidence and self-esteem. The journey continues. The importance of staying motivated now. It wasn't all easy. The days of fatigue, the moments of doubt, and the minor injuries, like the ones we've all experienced, were still there. But what made this story different is that she never let those obstacles stop her completely. Motivation isn't always something that stays constant, but it is something that is cultivated day by day. What does this teach us? It shows us that motivation doesn't come from a single inspiration, but from continuous effort. It's about being disciplined, even when the road is difficult. It's about knowing that even though today may seem hard, the goal is within reach if we keep going. Above all, the protagonist understood a fundamental truth. Progress is not always linear. There will be days when we feel like we are taking steps backward, but those days do not define our story. What counts is the effort, the attitude, and the decision to continue. Now, as she crossed the finish line in that marathon, what she felt was not just the satisfaction of having achieved a physical goal, but something much deeper. She felt victorious not only for what she had accomplished, but for the emotional journey she had undertaken. She had conquered her own fears, overcome her doubts, and done it all with a clear purpose. Your personal marathon. What I want you to know is that we all have a personal marathon to run. No matter how old we are, it can be any goal. From achieving better health to learning something new or developing a new daily routine that makes you feel better about yourself. That's your marathon. And if you can take the first step today, I promise you'll be closer to achieving that goal than you ever imagined. And here's one last thought. The real challenge isn't just running, it's keeping going even when the going gets tough. Because on those days, the real victory is in pushing forward, in not giving up, in embracing the small victories. So, if you're ready to take that first step, I want you to share it with us in the comments. What's your personal marathon? And what's the first step you're going to take today? If this video inspired you, I'd love for you to give it a like. And if you haven't subscribed yet, don't forget to do so. And as always, if you have a personal story of overcoming adversity to share, we'd love to read it. Let's keep going together. Thank you for being here.